What is ASP.NET Core? ASP.NET Core is a modern open-source web framework by Microsoft used to build fast, secure, and cross-platform web applications and APIs using C# language. It works on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS and is commonly used for building websites, REST APIs, and cloud-based applications.
Open Visual Studio and create a new ASP.NET Core Web API project. Install the required NuGet packages: Microsoft Entity Framework Core, Microsoft Entity Framework Core Tools, Microsoft Entity Framework Core SQLite. As I use SQLite, but you can use SQL Server, MySQL, or PostgreSQL instead. The setup is similar. Also install Swashbuckle ASP.NET Core for Swagger API documentation. Make sure the package versions match your project's .NET version. As you can see, packages have been installed. Now, configure Swagger in Program.cs file and update launch settings.json file to enable and access the Swagger UI when the application starts. Clean up the application by removing unnecessary weather forecast files. Open the app settings.json file and configure the SQLite connection string. If you are using other databases, you can also configure them here. Create a new folder named Models in your project. Inside this folder, add a new class called Post, which will represent a database entity. In the Post class, define the required properties that will be used as table columns in your database, for example, ID, title, and content. Each property should be carefully designed based on the data you want to store. Apply proper data validation attributes to ensure data integrity. For example, the required annotation makes sure fields are not left empty. Max length limits the size of text fields. The key annotation is used for the primary key like ID. These validations help ensure only valid data is saved and reduce runtime errors.
Create a new folder called Data in your project. Inside it, add a new class called AppDBContext. In this class, set up the database configurations for your application. This class connects your app to the database and manages how data is stored and accessed. It also helps define how tables are created and related inside the database. Inside the Program.cs file, register the database service in the application. Use the Add Database Context method to connect your app to the database. Provide the database provider and the connection details from the app settings file. This setup allows your application to access the database in a clean and organized way. Now add your post model inside the AppDBContext file using a dbSet property. This tells the application to treat post as a table in the database and allows it to store and retrieve post data easily. Now open the Package Manager console. Create a migration to apply your model changes to the database. Create a new controller file and name it Post Controller. A controller is a part of your application that handles user requests and returns responses. It acts as a bridge between the user interface and the database. In simple terms, it receives input from the user, processes it, and sends back the result. Inject the AppDBContext into the controller constructor. This allows the controller to access the database and perform operations like adding, reading, updating, and deleting data. It uses dependency injection to keep the code clean and organized. Create an index method in your controller to get all posts from the database. This method retrieves all post data and returns it as a response from the API. It is used to display all posts when the API endpoint is called. Create an add method in your controller to handle new post requests. This method receives post data from the request, saves it to the database, and then returns the created post as a response. It is used to add new posts through the API. Do not forget to set the correct HTTP methods for each action. Use get for reading data, post for adding data, put for updating data, and delete for removing data. This tells the API how each method should be used. Create a details method in your controller to get a post by its ID. This method takes the post ID as input, finds the matching post in the database, and returns it as a response. It is used to display a single post. Create an edit method in your controller to update post data. This method takes the post ID and the new data as input. It checks if the post exists in the database, and if it is found, it updates the post. Finally, it returns the updated post as a response. Create a delete method in your controller to remove a post. This method takes the post ID as input, it checks if the post exists in the database, and if it is found, it deletes it. This is used to remove posts through the API. As you can see, each endpoint is working correctly and returning the expected results. This confirms that the CRUD operations are functioning smoothly. Please like and subscribe for more content like this.